Welcome to Safe Again, a mind, body, soul reset for the depressed and tired. Module 4, updating your inner voice. Hi there, I'm really glad you're here. I'm Julie and I'll be guiding today's session. We'll start right on time and you don't need to do anything, but just be, no pressure, no performance, just presence. If you've got questions, you're welcome to save them for the end or drop them in the chat. This is a soft space. Keep your camera on or off if that feels better. Stay in bed, stretch out on the floor, sip some tea, whatever you need. As a wise woman once said, you're not lazy, unmotivated or stuck. After years of living in survival mode, you're exhausted. There's a difference. Hey there, depression has a way of making everything feel impossibly heavy. If the other day you got dressed and felt like you deserved a standing ovation, putting on pants, that's elite level energy some days. So if all you did today was show up, you're already doing more than enough. Let's begin. Take a slow breath in and let the weight fall away just a little. Module 4, updating your inner voice. Zane had always been a gamer, whether it was grinding through Call of Duty on his PlayStation 5 or building entire worlds in Minecraft on his PC. He lived for the digital worlds. His friends were scattered across Fortnite, Apex Legends, Valorant, the occasional League of Legends sessions. Those were the games that kept him going after long hours at work. The friends he had met in these games were a great escape, an outlet for relaxation and competitive energy. They understood him. He understood them. Or so he thought. One night, Zane stumbled across an advertisement for a new online social networking site, a virtual world where users could create avatars and interact. It wasn't just about gaming, it was a whole new social experience. Skeptical but intrigued, Zane decided to give it a shot. After all, it wasn't like he had anything to lose. The idea of an avatar-based life seemed kinda cool, maybe a new way to interact with people, see what the buzz was about, even network with other gamers. He quickly created an avatar, a sleek, futuristic character with neon blue hair, a sleek jacket. It was a place to chat, to make connections and explore. As Zane wandered through the virtual world, he was impressed by the lifelike surroundings and interactions. It seemed like the kind of tech that would be reserved for early adopters and those who had been in the tech space longer than him, but something felt off. The more he explored, the more conversations he had with other players, the more disconnected he started to feel. The topics of conversation were trivial. People were chatting about what happened at school, homework assignments, the latest celebrity gossip. Wait, what? School? Zane had assumed these players were tech-savvy adults, the kind of early adopters who understood the deeper, cutting-edge aspects of this new platform. Confused, he kept chatting with more and more avatars, trying to find someone who matched his vibe, someone who shared a passion for gaming, for strategy, for winning. But no one seemed to care about the latest Apex Legends update or the best gear in the Call of Duty. Instead, the conversations were dominated by mentions of school, teachers, and parents. Was he really talking to kids who were still in high school? What kind of a virtual world had he stumbled into? It wasn't frustrating, it felt isolating. Zane realized he had unknowingly entered a space designed for younger generations, people still figuring out who they were, still grappling with things that used to matter to him when he was their age. These were not the early adopters or forward-thinking individuals he assumed they were. Instead, they were avatars of youth, still navigating their way through stages of growing up. As he logged off that night, a wave of self-awareness washed over him. The voice in his head whispered, "You've been looking in the wrong places for connection. You've been so focused on others, you've neglected yourself." And for the first time in a long time, Zane found himself, reflecting on the choices he had made and the direction his life was headed. Was this truly the community he needed? Was this avatar world just a distraction? Or did it reflect deeper feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction in his own life? As he powered off his console and prepared for bed, Zane made a promise to himself. Tomorrow he would begin to listen to that inner voice of his with more compassion. He would focus on his strengths, on what he had achieved, and on the things that truly mattered, not the noise of others. This first step was updating his inner voice, just like he had updated his avatar to something more authentic to his personality. Tomorrow he'd begin with small steps. Why am I even talking to you about this? Because maybe you've been white-knuckling it for weeks, months, years, and somewhere along the way you stopped expecting to feel anything different because the world flipped upside down during COVID-19, and while sourdough starters and banana bread had their 15 minutes, most of what we learnt during the pandemic wasn't cute, quirky, it was raw. We learnt that isolation sucks, that wearing the same hoodie 6 days straight isn't a personality, that humans need movement, sunlight, hugs, laughs, purpose. We also saw something else, a tidal wave of research, new tools, a rethinking of how we understand depression. The old story that it's a chemical imbalance, turns out that theory doesn't hold up. People aren't machines. You're not a faulty brain that needs fixing. So let me say it more clearly, because you deserve to feel even better. You get out of bed when it feels pointless. You reply to messages when you'd rather disappear. You keep showing up even when your brain's whispering, "What's the point?" That's not weakness, that's strength, not loud or flashy, but the kind that keeps hearts beating and lives moving. Your body, your nervous system, your soul. They deserve to be more than stuck in survival mode, and this course is a step towards shifting that. Because you've been running on empty. Maybe you're the one who always keeps it together, the helper, the fixer, the one who doesn't want to be a burden. But the pain builds, exhaustion seeps in quietly, and eventually it's not just low mood, it's full body weight, and still you keep going. That's heroic. But this space, it's here to let you put some of that down, even for just a moment. Because you're still here, and that means something. You could have scrolled past, clicked out, opened the tab, but you didn't. You're still reading, still curious, still open to something. That's not small. Depressed minds forget how much effort that takes. But I see it, and that matters. Because when someone says you're amazing, it can land like static, like a slogan printed on a coffee mug, too vague, too far away. Like saying the world is beautiful right after you stub your toe on new kitchen cabinets. Let me be specific. You've listened this far. You've showed up. You're still trying. And the science? It's starting to catch up with your lived experience. COVID-19 cracked things open, not just people, but ideas too. Now we know. Major depressive disorder is not just about biology. It's not just about medication. It's about connection, meaning, movement, building emotional skill sets that actually work. You don't need to be fixed. You just need space to feel better, even a little. And that's what this is. About me, I'm Julie, a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, and a life coach. I specialize in working with the mind and the subconscious mind to help you unlock your true potential. How the subconscious mind works, the power of getting specific in self-care. Now let's take a moment to imagine something. What if you only counted exercise as going to the gym or self-care as being on a strict diet? Now, if that's how you viewed it, your subconscious mind would start to reinforce the idea that wellness only exists in those specific, sometimes restrictive activities. What happens then? Your subconscious would create an association between well-being and only the gym or only dieting. This would limit the number of opportunities you have experienced wellness and self-care. You'll be narrowing your perception, telling yourself that unless you're following those strict rules, you aren't taking care of yourself. In turn, your subconscious mind would send signals that reinforce this belief, creating a feeling that exercise and self-care are only valid in these specific scenarios, rather than in the many daily moments that naturally contribute to your overall well-being. And what happens when you fall short of those standards, like skipping a workout or indulging in a treat? You might feel guilty or discouraged, which only deepens a cycle of negative thinking and self-judgment. Now, let's flip this. Imagine if instead you recognize that self-care and exercise aren't just confined to a gym or diet plan. What if every time you walked, ran, danced, jumped, swam, even cleaned your house, you counted that as moving and working out? What if every time you showered, applied deodorant, brushed your hair, brushed your teeth, or painted your nails, you celebrated that as self-care? In this case, your subconscious mind will begin to reinforce the idea that every positive action, no matter how small, counts as part of your wellness journey. You wouldn't have to wait for a gym or diet to feel like you're taking care of yourself. Instead, you'll be noticing and celebrating self-care every day in all the little actions you take to nurture yourself. By expanding your definition of exercise, of self-care, you train your subconscious mind to see wellness in a broader, more supportive light. This shift can lead to greater motivation, more positive mindset, and an overall sense of empowerment. You start to feel good about what you're doing every day, and those small positive actions build momentum, reinforcing your emotional well-being and helping you feel better inside and out. Breaking down global thoughts. Sometimes when we're struggling with depression, we can feel overwhelmed by these huge global thoughts like, I'm always sad, or nothing ever works. The problem with this thinking is that it makes everything feel permanent, like there's no way out. The meta model gives us a tool to break that down by asking a simple question like, can you remember a time, even a tiny moment, when you didn't feel sad? We start to look for exceptions. These exceptions are key. They show us that things can change, even if only for a second. Focusing on small wins. When we focus on specific small movements instead of broad, overwhelming statements, we start to see the progress we're making. For example, instead of saying nothing ever works out, try asking yourself, can I think of a time when something worked out even just a little? Those small wins may feel insignificant at first, but over time they add up. By shifting our focus to these wins, we start to build a clearer, more hopeful picture of our lives. And when we see the small steps forward, we start to feel better about the bigger picture. Recognizing the depression pattern. Depression can often create repeating cycle of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Understanding these patterns is a step towards breaking free from them. If you find yourself thinking or saying things like, everything in my life is falling apart, this will never get better, I can't separate my problems from my personal life, it's all just one mess, I don't have any control over what happens to me, I can't stop thinking about how much I've messed up, I always fail, no matter how hard I try. I wish things were like they were before everything went wrong. There's no point in trying anymore. This is all my fault. This is happening. These are common patterns that depression can create, but the good news is recognizing them is the first step towards change. Once you notice them, you can begin to challenge and reframe these thoughts. And hey, while we're at it, ever notice how when you're in the funk, you could swear you're the only one who can mess up making a cup of coffee? It's like the universe is in on a joke, right? Don't worry, you're not alone in this. This happens to all of us. The key is not staying stuck in that loop. Recognizing these patterns allows you to take the first step in changing them, shifting the focus, challenge those thoughts, and start creating new, healthier patterns. You've got this. The power of getting specific. Before we wrap up, I'd love to invite you into a short guided hypnosis session. You don't need to close your eyes unless it feels right. Just allow yourself to tune out the outside world for a moment and gently turn inward. If you're not quite ready or it's not your thing, that's completely okay too. Just listening with an open heart can still be powerful. This track is called The Power of Getting Specific. It's designed to softly remind your nervous system that it's okay to relax. You are safe now. Healing's already happening. The future holds light. So if you're in, let's begin. Let's begin by focusing on your breath. Take a slow, deep breath in and gently exhale, allowing yourself to settle into this moment. Now wonder if you can notice how much more comfortable it feels to focus on something specific like the breath in your lungs, rather than trying to focus on a vague general idea of relaxation. As you continue to breathe, I wonder whether you'll find it's easier to sink deeper into calm when you focus precisely on the feeling of air moving in and out, rather than getting lost in the overwhelming thought of, I need to relax. Could it be that when you focus on something specific, everything falls into place effortlessly? Just notice how much more powerful it feels to focus on one thing, your breath, rather than trying to manage everything at once. And as you breathe out, perhaps you can release any generalized thoughts like, I'm overwhelmed, or I need to do everything right now. Instead, simply focus on the next breath and nothing else. With this deep inhale, you might notice how your thoughts begin to narrow. Your mind clears. What if focusing on specific moments, just like focusing on one breath, could help you clear your mind in everyday life? If you allowed yourself to focus on specific actions like, today I'll take this one step forward, wouldn't that bring a sense of control and empowerment? With each precise move, I wonder if you realize how much more your communication could be effective when you focus on being specific instead of saying, I'm not happy. What if you could say, I'm feeling frustrated because I wasn't heard? That specific language creates a clearer path for change. And as you notice this clarity, you may see how speaking clearly and specifically could make your life feel easier as you relax deeper. Let yourself consider, if you were to focus on what truly matters, your deepest goals, your inner desires, how much clearer would your path become? And when you speak to yourself, what if you could stop saying, I don't know what to do, and instead say, I know exactly what to do right now to move forward. I knew someone once who, when they began to communicate with themselves more specifically, noticed a huge difference. They used to feel overwhelmed by vague goals, but they began saying, I will wake up at 8 a.m. and focus on my goals for about 10 minutes every morning, and everything shifted. Could you experience this level of focus in your own life? Perhaps you've been in situations where a task felt too big or daunting. What if you broke it down into specific actions like, I'll take 5 minutes to organize my desk instead of, I need to get everything sorted? This power of being specific not only helps you clear your mind, but also propels you forward step by step. Could it be that when you shift from general ideas to specific actions, you'll feel more confident, more at ease, more in control? Just like focusing on your breath, you can begin to focus on your intentions with laser-like precision. And as you relax further, imagine a time when you felt unsure of what to say. If you had known how to express exactly what was on your mind, how much easier that conversation would have been. What if you had said, I feel concerned about the outcome of this project because of X, rather than leaving it vague? Wouldn't have that helped clear up any confusion, allowing the conversation to flow with greater ease and understanding? You can experience this shift right now instead of wondering if you can improve your communication. I know you can begin to communicate more effectively today. Focus on the specific feelings or thoughts you want to express. The rest will flow effortlessly. Notice how liberating it feels on clarity instead of ambiguity as you sink deeper into relaxation. Could you allow yourself to be more present with specific, intentional breath, each deliberate thought? That's where the true power lies, in being specific, in focusing on what truly matters, and in communicating that clearly. With each breath, you may find yourself moving away from general, overwhelming thoughts into a space where clarity and focus reign. You can choose every time to be clear, specific, and intentional with everything you do. Take another deep breath in and slowly let it out. As you breathe, you might notice how much more comfortable it feels to be specific, both in your thoughts and in your actions. The more specific you become, the more the world opens up to you, clearer, easier, more manageable. Now, feel how relaxed you are, knowing that as you wake from this session, this experience, you can carry this sense of clarity with you. And when you speak, when you express yourself, you feel the power of being specific. You can do it effortlessly. Welcome back. You're perfect just as you are. Thank you for being fully present and opening yourself up today. I know it's not always easy, but you've already taken an incredible step by showing up. The hypnosis session has gently guided you to a place of deep inner calm, giving you the space to start healing. And with that shift, we now mark the completion of Module 4, updating your inner voice. Now, here's what's coming up next. Over the next few days, we're diving into 5 transformative modules that continue your journey of healing and self-empowerment. Module 1, understanding what's going on. Module 2, breaking the loop. Module 3, reclaiming control. Module 4, updating your inner voice. That's this one. Module 5, looking forward even when you don't feel like it. Each module builds on the one before, helping you go deeper into your healing process. While you still may feel the effects of the hypnosis session, remember, these upcoming modules are designed to help you understand, release, and transform what's been holding you back. And just a little reminder to wrap this up, remember, you're doing awesome. You don't need to have all the answers today. No one has this all figured out. Even the best GPS takes a few recalculations now and then. Thank you for taking this brave step. You've already done something incredible by showing up today. I'm excited to keep going on this journey, rolling with you, because let's face it, personal growth is like a Wi-Fi of life. Sometimes it drops, but when it's on, everything just flows. Let's keep that connection strong.